home. Have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on front page fuckery. Yeah.
I got new shoes on a ride, rolling down 95. You can see it in my eyes, then I'm looking for a cutie pie. We ain't gotta make love, ay, we can just cuddle up. And if you want me to beat it up, what, damn it, I'll beat it up your body. Tune. Anyway, welcome back. It is me, Kelechi, the baby girl, aka Mother of London, and we are back for another episode of Front Page Fxckery, where we turn bad news into good conversation. That song by Pretty Ricky was just, you know what? It didn't play at the gym. I went to the gym today, was training chest. They've got one tricep machine there that I do not rock with, but I just had to get on with it. But then I went on and did tricep dips like afterwards as well. I need to really be building that horseshoe, honey. And they actually had a good playlist today. The guy that was operating it at the reception, he's got such a good build, like chunky. Anyway, he put on a Spotify playlist that I actually liked. Because one other time I was there, they were banging Diddy, like the Bad Boy album. I said, did he personally ask you to help him with royalties? What are you doing? But this time it was good. So anyway, when I was listening to their playlist, because I turned off my headphones, although I lost my earphones, one of my other earphones the other day. Anyway, so they were playing their playlist, and then T-Pain, I'm Sprung came on. And that is such a tune. We had tunes in the noughties. We had such big tunes. I don't know what's going on right now. So that came on. When I was leaving the gym, I thought, you know what? I want to listen to I'm Sprung again. And then you know how it just goes on and plays the next song. And then the Pretty Ricky one came on. I said, this is a banger, absolute banger. So it's been on my mind. Anyway, friends, foes, how are you? How is the news on your side of whatever pond or land? I don't have too much to go into. Plus, I've got a tarot reading client shortly, so I'm not going to keep us here for too long. Another restock of the bath salts, the spirit salts, is coming next Friday. So next Friday, by midnight, there'll be another batch available for you to get, because I can see that so many of you are writing to me about the results that you've been getting from using the spirit salts, and I'm very, very happy for you. Keep bathing in them, keep protecting yourself, keep drawing in love, because the world is extremely mad right now. But yeah, I mean, what I guess I wanted to ask you all is, are you lonely? Lonely, are you lonely? I want to understand whether you're lonely or not, because I don't understand why you lot love doing those internet trends so much. Internet trends that are clearly there to help AI gather as much information about you as possible. The most recent one I've been seeing is post some pictures of yourself from 2016. And you lot ran. You somersaulted, you backflipped, you triple salted to go and bring out pictures of yourself from 2016. And I'm asking whether you're lonely, because I guess why that's being done is because you want a sense of connection. You want to feel a type of nostalgia. I don't know. But are you not aware that you are basically helping AI to guzzle all of the images of yourself? Social media is free because we are what is being sold for the most part. Other things now, through advertising, whatever. But even then, the advertising can only be so targeted because, you know, it has so much information about us, tracking our eye movements, how our pupils dilate when we're looking at certain things, you know, what our general time of day is that we come onto there, like who do we interact with, what pages do we stay on for longer, like our geolocations, blood clots. It's getting so much information, but some of the things that it doesn't have predates our exponential use of social media as well as the internet. So it'll be like, post a picture from such and such. And because you lot want to be like, oh, I was a baddie back in the day. Look how my waist was snatched. Or I used to be cute. Or that was the best year of my life. Or you are just giving it. You're just giving it out. Please, please have some self-restraint. Any little thing that AI asks you, you lot are running. Your pints, you haven't even pulled it up to your waist. Your bra, you haven't secured it. Like I was saying in Insta, I don't even like bras. Like I hate underwired bras. Can't remember the last time I've worn them. Yuck. But your bra, you haven't even gotten it over your head, around your back. You're running to go and give AI. Will it help it find Madeleine McCann? Will it? You lot are doing a lot. You are doing a lot. And for you now, you might be like, oh, fuck off, Kelechi. It's harmless. No, it's not. These social media platforms have nefarious motivations for why they want you to keep supplying these things. Because also, yes, it helps AI to understand how we age. It's going to learn that black don't crack unless the CIA pumps crack into the community. But we're going to get onto that later. Justice for Gary Webb. But yeah. One day it's just going to know all of the things. And then you're going to get a smart fridge. Then it's going to know the grocery shop that you do as well. Then you've got all of your details on MyFitnessPal or whatever the fuck. Like, and then you've got your period tracker app. So it knows what you buy when you're ovulating, what you buy when you bleed. It starts knowing all of these things. And then you'll be surprised when all of those things can be used to control you. I'm not going to start giving you ideas because I could use that to write another short story collection. But if you read Uterus Star, one of my other short stories, you know Wagwan. Please, try keeping some shit to yourself. I know it's hard in the age of social media, but please. Maybe it's my Scorpio placements. I don't know, but I don't like feeling like people are too up in my business. This is why I don't, although it's not hard to find because I talk about the fact that I'm a Sagittarius rising, allegedly. I don't go around. I make a point of not sharing my birth chart. Like, I don't care who it is. I just make a point of not sharing my birth. Like, I don't like people just be up under me, knowing too much about me. But then AI just says to you, oh, I'd love to see a picture of you wearing a yellow dress. And next thing you know, we see all the pictures of your booty jiggling in that yellow sundress. Sister, please relax. Okay? Damn, because for all that it's gathering, it's still misidentifying black people and getting them in trouble with the police. If it was all so friendly, why aren't ICE? Why don't they have their faces showing? If it was also friendly and it wasn't targeted in order to keep an oppressive state going globally, why is it that there were facial recognition cameras at Notting Hill Carnival, a celebration, but not that Pussyclot Tommy Robinson's march? There were no facial recognition cameras there because it looks like they're looking for somebody. Wonder who? Wonder who? But then talking of Tommy Robinson, I love when people tell on themselves. Oh my God, it is beautiful. So I saw a post that eventually Tommy Robinson had to take down where he was talking about how YouTube is terrible because it's showing all of these gay things and gay love with people who are younger. And somebody wrote back to him, I think it was Politics Now or something. They wrote back to him that, well, that was, where is it? He deletes YouTube post after backlash. Can I even read it? Because I don't have X. Well, I'm about to delete my X today fully. It says here, the far-right activist, I hate when they're called that, targeted Prime Minister Keir Starmer over the ad for Pride's Date, a site for adult men with no age limit, meaning no upper cap. Users and a community note explained ads tailor to individual viewing habits, not universal placement, leading Robinson to delete the post amid jokes about his interests. He defended by saying a team admin posted it from a tip-off, not his feed, and stressed concerns about inappropriate ads reaching minors despite personalization. I knew that's what his comeback was going to be. But Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, you are a gay. You are a homosexual. Your sexuality is of the homo type. It is of your people. It is of your sex. It is of your gender. You are a homosexuale. You are a gay. Instead of fighting, can't fight the feeling. Instead of fighting what is true for you, why don't you just live your truth? So that hateful behavior that you're exhibiting constantly, you can do away with. It might mean that you're not so into sniffing cocaine. So many things might change about your life if you just accept that you want to be furiously fisted, that you want to gobble cock. Like, just own your truth, brother, because you're causing disarray on this small island known as the Ununited Kingdom. Stop. For you to have posted so passionately about that YouTube ad for Pride's Date, this, that, and the other, even gay people don't get them ads. The gay people who are out living their life, even they don't get them ads, but you did, or whoever sent it to you did. Oh, baby, you are tugging that wiener. You are tugging that wiener to gay porn. Accept it. Accept it. Let your pride flag fly high. So many men would be, and you know what, not even just men, so many people, because women are included, would be so much happier if they just accepted that, you know what, I am gay. Because when they talk about, oh, you made a choice to be gay, I always think that people who talk about, oh, you made a choice to be this, you know, to have this sexuality, it's because they are making a choice to pretend to be straight. And controversially, I will never tire of saying it. I think sexuality. I think sexuality is a spectrum, and I don't think there are many people who are actually on the side of straight. Under the right circumstances, people will show themselves, and people should be allowed to move and flow, you know? But all of this, all these anti-LGBTQ plus people, I think that there's something wrong with you. I feel like when I have had homophobic beliefs in my earlier life, it's because there was something wrong with me. Like, I was not okay emotionally. Emotionally, I was not okay. So I'm speaking as part of the converted. Do you get what I mean? But please, in the grand scheme of things, Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, your real name, shut the hell up and see somebody about the cartilage to your nose as well. And those who are giving their data, just flinging their data at AI in the name of Satan, stop, please. Anyway, in better news, I like smoked caviar. How do I know this? Because I went to dinner with one of my friends last night. We went to Akoko. It's a Michelin star restaurant, West African fusion vibe. And it's owned by Aji Akokomi. And my favorite restaurant of his is Akara. That's in Borough. Love Akara. Is it Stony Street? Love Akara. Akoko, I've been to. This would have been my third time going the other day. I feel like my lips are dry. But this would have been my third time going last night. And it was cute. So it's a tasting menu. So you get what you get. There's no, oh, I'll have it. Like, you pretty much get what you just get what you get. So you pay the set price. If you want it with a drinks pairing, so they bring out a drink or a wine to go with each dish, you can do that as well. And the caviar, the smoked caviar is extra. So we got some to share. Yo, that was my favorite dish, hands down. I didn't know whether I'd like caviar, because I guess maybe it's just names, because I've had cod roe. But this smoked caviar business served with goat's cheese and some next thing, and is it sinasir, like the little rice pancakes. Sensational. No Chris Brown. Just beautiful. The next thing I liked after that was, the other dish that I liked was the egusi made with pumpkin seeds. That was very tasty. Then probably after that was the guinea hen. I missed the puff puff that they used to do. That's no longer on the menu. But the last time I went was a few years back. So of course they're going to change the menu in that time. And I guess maybe they changed the menu seasonally as well. But in case you were looking for somewhere to go, I just thought I'd suggest it. But it is a pretty penny. So between the two of us, with the drinks pairing and the caviar that we shared, my friend, she got drinks before I arrived. Like, she got some wine before I arrived while she was waiting. And in total, with service charge, it came to about £502. So if you've got a lengting, if you've got a special person that you want to take out and they like to broaden their palate, then take them there. But I'm going to be real with you, you might not be full. I was not full when I finished. And it's like loads of courses, like loads of dishes that you get one after the other. I wasn't full, but again, this is what we get with these elevated high-end restaurants. It's more about the art and the experience of the different taste profiles, not helping you to expand your big back. Speaking to myself. So overall, this new menu, the whole vibe, and you know what was really cute? They now bring this kind of trolley along, beautifully designed, where you get to wash your hands at the table before your dishes are brought out. That was super cute. Really enjoyed that, because everybody should be washing their hands. So yeah, and I like that it's an open kitchen. I really favor open kitchens. I like to see what you are doing. It puts me at ease. So overall, it's going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. Those who know me know that I love to eat and eat my outfits, my looks when I can be bothered. Last night I did look cute though. I put on a little ponytail, like a kinky, Afro kinky ponytail on top of my locks, and just added some embellishments and did a little piece of makeup. But because I hadn't gotten dressed up in a little while or done my makeup in a little while, I just felt so out of practice. But yeah, anyway, thank God for clear skin. Yeah, so 8 out of 10, well-deserved, very nice, very, very cute. Akara is still my favorite, but Akoko goes hard. So just know that if you want to take someone special out, Valentine's Day is coming up. Probably budget, if you're the one that's going to be paying for the whole thing, probably budget about £500. But bearing in mind, I don't drink alcohol. So my drinks tasting was soft drinks. So if you're going to be drinking alcohol or you're having a wine pairing, open your yash, like open your bumhole to pay that money. Okay, cool. Hope that helps. Anyway, let's get to the pages of the front. Not my front. We'll start with trash. So I've got here the Daily Mail, and who have we got on the front page of, well, not all of them, but it's about Kemi Badenoch. Now, before I even read what it's going to say, I just want to say people of color, but specifically Black people who go to join notably racist parties. Again, are you lonely? Are you lonely? Do you lack such self-esteem that you want to go and get a membership with a political party that hates your guts? When I see those Black women for Trump or Latinos for Trump, I'm like, you must have such extremely low self-esteem that this is where people have found you. I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't quite a few people trying to join, black people trying to join the Ku Klux Klan. And not because they wanted to infiltrate, because they genuinely wanted to join, because they felt like those are my people. I'm not part of these nignog monkey bitches. Those are my people over there in the white hoods. Those are my dons, actually. But you'll get there and they'll use you for a piñata, you idiot. Anyway, Daily Mail. Let's get into it. It says here, Westminster Day of Drama. Britain's economy is moribund. Our borders broken, our armed forces badly depleted in a world of peril, and our PM's an ocean-going socialist dud. There is no way that Keir Starmer could ever be considered a socialist. That man who is killing the girls, imprisoning the girls, absolutely not. But also big up the hunger strikers, because now the British military didn't go ahead with a £2 billion contract with Elbit Systems, or is it 2 million? Whatever it is, good. So it shows that these things work. So all of you who are staying quiet, just watching from the sidelines and posting your sponsored ads, you see how other people put their bodies on the line to stop major things? Remember that, coward. Anyway, as Jenrick's defection rocks the right, the Daily Mail's message to Reform and the Tories: stop fighting each other and end the Labour nightmare. Imagine the Daily Mail is using its energy in this way. It said, right-wingers, come together. Come together right now over me. Don't come on me. Sorry, I felt. Anyway, stop fighting each other and end the Labour nightmare. Robert Jenrick threw a hand grenade into the politics of the British right yesterday as he defected to Reform just hours after being outed as a Tory turncoat. On a dramatic day at Westminster, the former Conservative leadership contender became the highest profile defector to Nigel Farage's insurgent party. It's interesting because they don't want, this is what I was saying earlier about black people and low self-esteem and going to these horrible racist political parties. Kemi Badenoch thinks she did her big one by being leader of the Tories. But I have said from the beginning that when they are ready to run seriously, like when they are ready to get back into this election race, they're taking you the hell out. They do not want a black woman as the face of a racist party. They can take a man of color, they can take all of that, but a black, a Nigerian tar baby? Oh, you're absolutely crazy. You're literally just a bench warmer. You're just there. You're just there for now. You're keeping the throne, as it were, warm. That you're not going to be there when the things start to go down. And so if Jenrick was the one that could definitely kind of contend with Kemi, rather than doing all of this stuff with the Tories back and forth, he's like, let me just go over there, go to Reform where they actually need me. But it'll be interesting to see now what happens between him and Nigel Farage, unless Nigel Farage is self-aware enough to be like, I cannot be a leader. I cannot be a leader. My teeth are rusty. I'm not cute. My hair looks oily. All of them things. He might not be saying that, but I'm saying that for him. I hope he realizes these things. But Jenrick, he does look like a prime minister. Robert Jenrick does look like a prime minister. Like, they have all been clapped, but he fits the pattern of clappedness as for what one would expect of a prime minister. So he Robert Jenrick legitimizes Reform, because it's not going to work with Nigel Farage, especially since every other day people are like, oh, Farage called me this in school. Farage called me this in school. He told me to go back home, little P word. Everyone's coming for him. So he doesn't have the pizzazz. He also doesn't have Boris Johnson's techers, because Boris Johnson was a raging racist, right? But because he kept up that buffoon act really well, he disarmed people. So even though he was talking about, Muslim women in niqabs look like letterboxes or post boxes or whatever he said, people still read that he wrote that and still voted. Farage doesn't have that charm. So with all of this heat on him, they're going to need to bring in somebody that can legitimize what they're doing, who can actually come up with policies that's not just get the immigrants out. Like, you have to have other things. So Robert Jenrick coming in at this point might actually make reform stronger. Labour, I don't see Labour winning the next elections. Do I see the Greens winning? I don't really know. But reform is getting stronger day by day. Day by day. Anyway, let's see what else it says. One giant leap for mankind. First hotel on moon planned for 2032. But wait for it. You'll have to find a £750,000 deposit to reserve a room. None of you are going to the moon. You're definitely not going to the moon by 2032. They can't even sort out our energy stuff over here for the winter. Floods are still happening in different places in the world. They haven't come up with the infrastructure to deal with it. But you think you are going to the moon? That there will be a hotel on the moon and you are going to go and stay there? Tell me another lie. Anyway, what does it say here? The British public are tired of political psychodrama, and so am I. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch yesterday. Former colleagues now had as much chance of winning the next election as the Greens, and urged all centre-right voters to rally behind Nigel Farage. A senior reform source said Mr. Jenrick was set to be rewarded with the post of Reform's shadow chancellor, with a brief to strengthen the party's economic credentials, because they've got nothing. You can't just be saying, get the immigrants out, get the immigrants out. We hate all of these people, but you don't actually have a policy in place. So again, I keep saying, Reform are playing it very smart, from getting Bonnie Blue on side, and now Jenrick has defected to them and all these other Tory people want to defect. They are realizing that, we lack this, let's go and get it. Whereas Labour is way too egotistical to understand that, hey, this ship is sinking. Anyway, I will go down with this ship. I won't vote for Labour or Reform. There will be no Union Jack at my door. I am black and always will be. Thank you. Thank you. I hear you clapping. Thank you. Anyway, the former immigration minister had been in secret talks with Mr. Farage since September, but his cover was blown after a Tory mole stumbled across a printed draft of his defection speech. Nah, things are going down in Parliament. Things are going down in Parliament as white substances are going up noses. Yay. Woo. Anyway, it says here, suggesting he was set to jump ship any day and handed it to Kemi Badenoch. The Conservative leader launched an extraordinary preemptive strike on her former rival. In a video released just after 11 a.m., Mrs. Badenoch said she had sacked him and booted him out of the party after being presented with clear, irrefutable evidence that he was plotting in secret to defect in a way designed to be as damaging as possible. In a warning designed to head off further defections, she added, "The British public are tired of political psychodrama, and so am I. They saw too much of it in the last government. They're seeing too much of it in this government. I will not repeat those mistakes." Her intervention briefly plunged Mr. Jenrick's future into doubt before his defection was confirmed at a joint press conference with Mr. Farage 5 hours later, at which he launched a stinging all-out attack on the party he joined at 16. Mr. Jenrick said he would not fight a by-election in his Newark seat, claiming that his constituents were already aware of his views. Mr. Farage, meanwhile, thanked Mrs. Badenoch for driving Mr. Jenrick into his arms, saying the defection had only been 60-40 to happen at that point. However, senior Tories believe he was only days away from quitting despite having sat round the shadow cabinet table just 24 hours earlier. His former colleagues rounded on him last night. One shadow cabinet minister described him as a snake, while another said he had lost his mind. The source added, when it became clear that Kemi wasn't going anywhere, Jenrick's ambition was frustrated, and now he's done this stupid thing. His departure dismayed those warning that Labour can only be ousted at the next election if the Conservatives and Reform reach an accommodation to unite the right. Mr. Jenrick yesterday told the Mail there is not going to be a pact, while Mr. Farage insisted that the right could now only be united behind him. He's silly. United behind him where? He better let Jenrick step up to the plate, because people want a white man to vote for and they don't want to vote for Keir. And I don't know if they want to vote for Zach Polanski because they see him as a homosexual. And, you know, they're very anti-LGBT, even though they're all tugging their willies to gay porn. So anyway, The Guardian we have here, sacked Jenrick defects to Reform with fiery attack on failed Tories. Because there is also a racialized element to this as well. Whether it be, even if it was to be a left-wing party, political party, right? People don't like answering to black women. They want the expertise that black women have. They want the work ethic that black women have, but they don't like to answer to black women. And so this was a problem that Kemi was always going to face. And this is part of it, like building up this narrative of her incompetence. The same thing that they did to Diane Abbott, who never got a chance to do any of these things. And that's what makes me laugh sometimes about the black women who remain within the Labour Party as MPs, because it's like, where do you think this is going to go? Because even with this, the right-wing people understanding that anybody can be used as a puppet of white supremacy, regardless of their shade or their colour, Labour doesn't want to go down that line. It won't afford that opportunity. It's just crazy. It says here, Middle East allies urged US not to strike Iran. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and Oman urged Donald Trump not to launch airstrikes against Iran in a last-minute lobbying campaign triggered by fears that an attack by Washington could spark a major and intractable conflict across the Middle East. It's only now that you lot are realizing that. Only now, when you are seeing the people of Iran like kicking it up a fuss, like they're not having it. Now you realize that you might have some issues on your hands. But when you were licking Trump's batty crease, that didn't dawn on you. Crazy scenes. The warnings of chaos from the nation's long-standing allies of the US appear to have been influential in persuading Trump late on Wednesday to hold off on a military assault. Or is it the fact that they were screaming death to America, death to Trump? I know that hurt his ego. In the case of Saudi Arabia, its reticence led it to deny the US use of its airspace to mount any attacks. Continuing discussions, the Saudi Foreign Minister, Prince Faisal bin Farhan, conferred by phone with his counterparts from Iran, Oman, and Turkey yesterday. Iran's nationwide protest movement appeared to have slowed yesterday following a deadly crackdown by authorities. More than 2,637 people have been killed, according to the US-based human rights activist news agency, HRANA. And tens of thousands more have been put in prison. They've got space for all them people in prison. They won't have space for everyone. Bear that in mind. There's so much happening in the world right now, she says, making a redundant statement. But like the energy's building. People are tired and there will be infighting. And I've been saying like, There's going to be more infighting. People are just going to be everywhere. So if your faith was put into politics and you're like, oh, they just know more than me, I'm going to let them get on with it, you might not want to do that, actually. You might want to reconsider that. But that's for you to decide. And the next thing I'm going to say, I'm saying to Black people specifically, but if you're anybody else that's listening, cool, right? Is this where you want to invest all of your money in this country with everything that's going on? With the likelihood that there is a political party that might come into power that will frustrate your life, and all the fancy home renovations that you're doing will amount to nothing, where people will just think that they've got a carte blanche, quite literally a white card, to roll out and treat you and your family anyhow. And I'm not saying, for instance, this is all white people, because I also believe that this is nuanced. Like the other day, I was coming back from the post office, or was I coming back from the gym? One of them, Sha. And I'm walking through this alleyway bit. There's a white man walking in front of me, and one would, if somebody was to draw an old white racist man, they might draw somebody that looks like him. He's walking towards me. I'm minding my business. I'm looking straight ahead and walking along. And he says to me, "Oh, be careful there, darling. There's some dog poo around that area." And he was right. There was some dog poo where he had just passed. He made sure to tell me that. So this is why sometimes I can't get on board with just like, oh, all white people are this and all that. No. Because controversially speaking, the people who have aggravated me the most online and literally talked in a private group that they thought was private about causing me harm was Black men. So I flow with my opinion. And ultimately, as much as I'm aware of systems and institutions and dynamics and machinations that lead us to where we are, I still consider people individually, even when they have systemic privileges that they are afforded. It sounds crazy, but in my area, I'm yet to meet many racists, and I live in known, notoriously racist, historically racist area. Not because they're not there, because I see the flags. But then when these people have to interact with you one-on-one, they don't have the vim. But we're not relying just on that, because you then don't know. If they said, oh, there's a 24-hour purge now, go and kill whoever you want to kill, you'd be surprised maybe who's going to turn around and do things to you. I don't know what point I'm trying to make. I'm just saying, like, maybe we want to be more aware of what our future might look like in this country, and is that a future that you want for yourself and you want for your children? Because I've seen it in the tarot cards and I've seen it astrologically that there will be a mass exodus of Black people from the UK. So, and I know that people got onto Michaela Cole years ago when she was just like, when Theresa May had them go home buses or whatever, and she was like, maybe we should go home. And even myself, I was like, can you shut the fuck up? But I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not sure what I'm doing. But every time I think about, oh, I'm doing more and I'm doing more for this country, I am contributing to making this country great. Make Britain great again. But I'm contributing to making this country great. I add to the je ne sais quoi, also known as je ne sais quoi, of this country. Does it deserve it? I don't think so. I'm too cute for this place. And I think maybe you are too. So just think about it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let's move on to the bits that you asked me to look into. Gary Webb. Gary Webb, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter who wrote a series of stories linking the CIA to crack cocaine trafficking in Los Angeles. He died in 2004. Now, my thing is, we need to start maybe reclaiming, he died 10th of December 2004, by the way. So that was during Sagittarius season. And there are things that we need to think about now. I think that more's going to come out to prove that he was right now that Uranus is in Gemini. But that's just my thing. That doesn't concern you. Anyway, so he died December 10th, 2004, apparently he died by susu, by shooting himself twice in the head. Twice. Now, there are so many things I want to say at this point, right? The first thing is maybe we need to start reclaiming the term conspiracy theorist, because people throw it around like it's a dirty word. Like, I'll share my views on something and how I think maybe this didn't happen, or that this did happen and we're being told that it didn't happen, this, that, and the other. And people will be like, oh, so you're a conspiracy theorist. Yes, I am theorizing that a conspiracy has taken place. What is a conspiracy? Well, that these governmental entities have conspired. They have gotten together to cook up a scheme that Todd would never have been able to cook up, right? And so they have decided on this theme, or they've decided on this thing that is then detrimental to the general public. It is intended to keep the general populace like lacking in resources. And by resources, I'm talking about not just in terms of currency, but in terms of knowledge, that they are keeping them from it. So I am a theorist that a conspiracy has taken place. Governmental entities that are nefarious, they have nefarious motivations, right? They have mean motivations, have conspired to do this thing. People will make it out like, oh, you're so woo-woo. Oh, you dreamt that up. This is an esteemed investigative journalist and a white man that people tend to believe, right? Who has said, well, here it says, journalist Gary Webb died by susu on December 10th, 2004 at his home from 2 gunshot wounds to the head, with the scene described as him being found in his kitchen, but specifics of the actual scene are private, though his death is central to the film Kill the Messenger, dramatizing his Dark Alliance work and subsequent downfall, leaving debates about his death's true nature versus susu. So they said that he died by 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to his head in the kitchen. Now, I have never shot myself in the head. I never plan to. Never, ever, ever, right? Remember that. But how does one shoot themselves in the head twice? Like how, like maybe I don't understand the mechanics of guns. And, you know, for those of you out there who maybe have shot yourself in the head twice, your culture is not my costume, right? I don't want to guess. If you are versed at doing that and you're like, girl, shut up. It's possible. I did it. Here I am. Don't have a jaw, but I'm here, okay? Tell me. I want to understand. It's the same way that they said smiley culture. Those of you who are across the world might not know. Smiley Culture was a British musician, and during a police raid, the police raided his home, and he died in the kitchen, again, just like Gary Webb. He died in the kitchen, but they said that he stabbed himself 9 times in the chest during the police raid, that he stabbed himself from above 9 times in the chest. That's what they said that Smiley Culture did. So these like self-preservation mode would kick in. Nobody's stabbing themselves 9 times in the chest. That's crazy. That's crazy. You're already bleeding out. That's crazy. Which is the same thing as how I think that nobody goes to shoot themselves twice in the head. Where do you get how does your central nervous system even know what to do? The other day, I saw a video that said, move your ankles, move your feet clockwise. You know, move your feet round in a circle clockwise 6 times. Now try to draw the letter 6 with your right finger. I tell you, I was confounded and I was confused. I couldn't do it. Unless I started my 6 from the middle and went up, if I started my 6 going down and round, my feet would try to go in that direction. So we definitely know that I do not have the hand-eye coordination to shoot myself twice in the head. And I don't feel like Gary Webb did either. But because he had spoken out about the fact that the CIA was in fact funneling crack cocaine into Black neighborhoods in Los Angeles, they had to take him out because how dare you say we were doing that? You have been doing it. But now instead of funneling the crack into the community, you just tell people to post pictures of themselves from 2016 on social media. My people perish for a lack of boundaries with artificial intelligence. But, you know, during the interview that they did, this website did with Gary Webb, they speak about, what is this website? democracynow.org. It says here during the interview that basically the newspapers ran this story of being like, oh, it's so crazy. Black people believe anything. You really believe that we were funneling crack into your communities? You nignogs are so unintelligent. And he was even saying here that there's no other word to call it but racist. Amy Goodman, who interviews him, says, Gary, the way the mainstream press dealt with the Black community responding the way that they did, I found remarkably condescending. He said, yes, it was offensive. This is a transcript. And Amy says, it was basically the attitude was, we understand why the people are so upset. Something terrible has happened to them. And it's nice. It's finally nice to be able to blame it on someone or something. So we understand this kind of over response. So they're like, yeah, we know you've been looking for somebody to blame about your crack theory, but girl, that's on you. We didn't ask you to take the crack. No, but we've also known like people in the community who were informants or who were this, that, dealers, who have confirmed that, yes, that the plug essentially was somebody from the government, was CIA. I mean, watch Snowfall, right? Watch Snowfall, that series. So the CIA was working with the Contras in Nicaragua to get this cocaine in, to get all of this in order to discombobulate and disenfranchise the Black community. And you have to wonder about the power that Black people hold, like the African diaspora, the power that they hold globally for these governmental systems to be so focused on breaking them down. Gary Webb says here, I don't think there's any other word but racist. I've never seen an entire race labeled as conspiracy theorists before. This was literally, no, this was really, that's when I thought they had really gone off the deep end, when they were trying to convince everybody that, well, you know, these Black people, you know, they believe anything they're told, which was, when you boil it down, that's exactly what the articles were saying. They tried to couch it in the scientific and the sociological terms as why Blacks distrust government. The bottom line is that these folks will believe anything. The Tom Tomorrow did an amazingly good cartoon when he had two New York Times reporters sitting around talking, and they said, well, just because the United States government has a history of lying to the American public, and there's 10 years of documented evidence with CIA involvement and drug trafficking, they actually think this might be true. The other guy goes, those Negroes will believe anything. That was sort of the reaction in a very cut down form of what these long wheezes in the Post and the New York Times did on the one, the LA Times did one, the Washington Post did one on, oh, you know, of course Black people are upset because they all believe that, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken will make you sterile, as if they have no reason whatsoever to believe that the United States government doesn't have their best interests at heart at times. Look at the Tuskegee experiment, and you can go through history to explain why people of color would not trust the government. The other thing that these stories missed was that it wasn't just Black people that were upset by this thing. I mean, I was on a lot of right-wing talk radio shows, and the people that called in to those shows were as mad or madder than the Black audiences that I had addressed, because these were people who I think, like me, believe that they were taught in school, believed what they were taught in school about the government. The government always has your best interests at heart. The government would never do anything to harm citizens. Drugs are evil, and they would never be involved in it. When they read the story and saw the documentation that we presented, they knew they had been lied to for about 10 years on the drug war thing, and they were really offended. It wasn't that they grew up distrusting the government. It was the opposite. They grew up believing in it. Here was another example why their faith was misplaced, because American citizens had been sacrificed to fight this crazy war in Central America that really didn't mean anything to anybody but the people at the CIA. Wow. R.I.P. Adon. Gary Webb, I'm so sorry that they shot you twice in the head and then lied that you did it. The ones who actually have sense, that they have brains that work, are the ones that are getting bullets in it, because he made points, and it's the nuance of it all. And we're finding ourselves back at the same point where he died 2004, 12 years later. No, I'm not saying 12 years later, but what I'm saying is, because my maths can go anywhere, but 22 years later, right, is what I mean. 22 years later, and we are in this position where I think that more is going to come out about this, and he will be vindicated in different ways. But we are seeing it, how right-wing people are seeing how Trump has really played them for fools. And then they're seeing that the things that Black people have been saying, or marginalized folk have been saying about the, not just the Trump administration, but about the government as a whole, they're finally starting to see it. But they have believed for so long that I can't distrust my government. I'm going to fight for the freedom of this country. Your country is the one that's making everyone else unfree, honey. And there was this story, I've talked about it on Say Your Mind, my old podcast, but just to drive my point home about radioactive chapatis, right? You think that the government or people won't just do crazy shit to you, but it's being done. I think that there's a documentary that's been put out about it more recently, but I spoke about this quite a while ago, quite a few years ago, I would say now. But the people were being given in an area in the UK, I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say Nottingham, might be Wolverhampton, might be Birmingham. But they were being given free chapatis, and they were like, rah, Britain is so generous. I'm getting free chapatis. And for you, if you don't know what chapatis are, there's like thin bread that lots of that South Asian people eat. Like, it's part of the kind of like the culinary profile. Coventry. Look at me chatting shit. I said Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Nottingham. Girl, the fuck? It was Coventry. There we go. So, why were Indian women being given radioactive chapatis? And as that story is loading, I also want to stress again, and I will not stop stressing this, that I really need to know who Mr. Paul Newman, I want to say it's Paul Newman. This man was sent to speak with me regularly in primary school. Only me that I knew of. I'd have to go off to a room with him and he'd ask me to a random classroom, and he'd ask me so many questions about myself. And it carried on until I was like in my first year of secondary school. Somebody made a joke the other day and they were like, maybe he was a child psychologist. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it, but it's how my mum, to be fair, my mum does not retain that sort of information. She just was parenting by flying by the seat of her pants, or whatever they say. So she might not remember, but I don't remember them letting my mum know that they were having these conversations with me. I say all of that to say, and I've joked about it before, guys, if I turn out to be a sleeper agent, understand that I did not remember. Like, I don't know, but I wouldn't turn out to be a sleeper agent. Too sexy for that. Anyway, he says here, in 2019, Shanaz Akhtar, a postdoctoral researcher at Warwick University, was chatting to her sister, who mentioned a documentary that had aired on Channel 4 in the mid-90s. It was about human radiation experiments, including one that had taken place in 1969 in Coventry. As part of an experiment on iron absorption, 21 Indian women had been fed chapatis baked with radioactive isotopes, apparently without their consent. Having grown up in Coventry's tight-knit South Asian community, Akhtar was shocked that she had never heard of the experiment. When she looked into it, she found an inquiry by the Coventry Health Authority in 1995, conducted soon after the documentary aired. The inquiry examined whether the experiment put the subject's health at risk and whether informed consent was obtained. But the only mention of the women's perspectives was a single sentence: At the public meeting, it was stated that 2 of the participants who had come forward had no recollection of giving informed consent. When Acta read this sentence, she burst into tears. I just thought of my own mother, she said. It was brave of these women to stand up and disagree, and their memories were just discounted. Acta decided to try to trace the women and their families, but she was anxious. It was now 2020, the COVID pandemic had hit, and the ethnic minority communities were among the worst affected. Acta contacted the local Labour MP, Taiwo Owatemi. I was completely horrified, Owatemi told me. I was like, why am I just hearing about this? And how do we identify these women? Owatemi agreed with Acta that with high rates of vaccine hesitancy among ethnic minorities, it was risky to draw attention to this historic injustice at that moment. So rather than putting out a public call for information, Acta quietly asked around within her community for people who might know families that had been affected. By chance, at about the same time, a historian and broadcaster, Dr. Louise Raw, came across some old reporting about the radioactive chapatis, specifically a 1995 story in India Today, following up on the documentary, which jogged her memory of watching the film when it aired. Raw is interested in hidden stories and was immediately intrigued. I read this and thought it was outrageous and weird and sinister. She told me Raw felt the story deserved more attention than it had received, perhaps a parliamentary inquiry or compensation, and started tweeting about it. You can't believe how kind the British are, read the first tweet in a thread she posted in August 2023. Every morning, a van pulls up outside your house in Coventry. A friendly man brings you a freshly baked flatbread to eat. It's just for you, no, not anyone else in your family. Every afternoon, he comes back to make sure you've eaten it. The thread went on to detail the key points in the documentary and India Today's follow-up. Effectively packaged for a social media audience and arriving at a post-pandemic moment when trust in healthcare systems was low and awareness of racism and identity politics at an all-time high, the story went viral. That first tweet was retweeted 9,000 times and viewed by 7 million people. TikToks recounting the story racked up tens of thousands of views. It was also covered by the mainstream media, The Guardian, the BBC, the Daily Mail, with many reports focusing on efforts by Acta and Owatemi to trace the women. The story provoked major anxiety in Coventry, though the study only involved 21 women. Owatemi was contacted by scores of people terrified that their mothers or grandmothers had been affected. One of the people who saw Raw's thread was a woman in her 60s named Kalbir, who grew up in Coventry's Punjabi community. She forwarded it to her siblings, and within a few minutes, her elder sister replied, "Oh yeah, Mum said about that. I thought you knew." Kalbir was shocked to discover that after the documentary had aired in 1995, their mother said she was one of the participants. Kalbir had been living away from home and no one had mentioned it to her. Now she was devastated. Her mother had died 2 decades earlier, and Kalbir was left with so many questions. What happened? What was the aftercare for them? What are the implications? Did this affect their health afterwards? Food in their house was always shared, and Kalbir panicked that she or her siblings could have eaten the radioactive chapatis too. This article goes on to describe a lot of it, but I'm just jumping to the part where it says, at the time, Elwood was working on his iron studies. The culture of medicine was paternalistic. Most doctors believed they were best placed to make decisions about risk on behalf of their patients. Consent was often seen as at best unnecessary, and at worst actively obstructive to the pursuit of knowledge. In 1947, after the Nuremberg trials exposed the full horror of the Nazis' medical experiments on inmates at concentration camps, a new set of principles for ethical research on humans, known as the Nuremberg Code, had been introduced. The first of its 10 points is: the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. The code also sets out other principles. Experiments should be for the good of society and carried out by qualified researchers, and the risk should never exceed the potential benefit. But at first, the code didn't have much effect on researchers in the UK and the US, who saw it as something that applied to evil war criminals, not high-minded doctors who wanted to further scientific knowledge. In 1964, the medical researcher Paul Beeson, who had been a professor of medicine at both Yale and Oxford, wrote that the Nuremberg Code was a wonderful document to say why the war crimes were atrocities, but it's not very good guide to clinical investigations, which is done with high motives, like they're forgetting that they could also be depraved and deranged. But as details of the experiments carried out throughout the 20th century emerged, it became clear that good intentions are not enough. The Tuskegee experiment, which ran in Alabama from 1932 to 1972, aimed to explore the prevalence of syphilis among Black men. Participants believed they were being treated for their condition, but in fact they were given placebos even after penicillin emerged as an effective, readily available treatment for syphilis in the mid-1940s. Many died unnecessary deaths in the 1960s. Mentally disabled children at the Willbrook School in Staten Island were intentionally infected with viral hepatitis, sometimes repeatedly, for research into vaccines. There were countless other examples from the US, UK, and Canada. A number of these involved radiation exposure. In the 1950s, pregnant women in London and Aberdeen were injected with radioactive iodine to test their thyroid function, despite the fact that radiation exposure of any sort poses a risk to a fetus. In Massachusetts in the 1940s and 1950s, boys with learning difficulties at a residential school were fed radioactive oatmeal as part of an experiment to see how Quaker oats were digested. So why am I saying all of this? Because this is documented, right? This is very much documented. Do you remember, was it Germany? I want to say it's Germany, but I could be wrong. Where orphan boys who had experienced abuse were put into the care, foster homes, or to be adopted by pedophiles, by men, but because apparently they saw it as a way to help them, because they know that these men already love boys, so they would have a home. They're now apologizing for all of this stuff. But I say all of this to say, when you are calling somebody a conspiracy theorist and you mean it in a derogatory way, what do you call all of this that I've just listed then, that is readily available in mainstream media for you to read? What do you call all of this that's happened? So you are surprised that people would be distrusting of governments and institutions that have historically and controversially presently harmed them. I'm not saying that means that don't believe in this and don't take this medicine and don't do that. But I am saying that I can't really call somebody cuckoo or woo-woo when they're like, I don't actually trust that, when there's proof. Oh, they don't trust the government. They don't trust the police. Why? What has happened to them as a community? Why? Why are they not trusting you? Why would you do them that way? It's just things for us to think about. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure this won't be the last time that I mention things like this. But we have to consider things. You can't just write people off and go, oh, they're crazy. They're having another crazy theory. When sometimes reality or fact is crazier than what you're accusing them of to be fiction. So yeah, that's all I've got for you. Like I said, the spirit salts, my special bath salts are out again, restocked next Friday. So make sure that you prepare yourself and you get yourself some. There'll be peace, protection, love, and money. So pick up the ones that you want that speak to you. Those of you who are in the EU, because Britain is not, these fucking tariffs, honey, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a way around them for you. But just bear that in mind as well. But yeah, that's it. That's all from me. I've been Kelechi, the baby girl, aka Mother of London, and this has been Front Page Fuckery, turning bad news into good conversation. I'm really glad that you choose to join me week after week. If this is your first time, welcome. I've just been yapping. I had to do a tarot reading even in between recording this episode, so my mouth is tired, lol. But yeah, that's that. Stop giving AI loads of historic images of yourself and have a good time in whatever this hellscape is. Well, that's all I got for you. Yeah, I'll catch you on the other side of the news. Bless.
Oh, have you heard the news? It's probably been twisted to keep the general population conflicted. Better lick your finger and turn the page. Dissect the lines that made you to rage. Get out of your Monday drudgery. Turn up the volume on front page fuckery. Yeah.